I'm gonna show you how to make something that is known in every Italian household, and you're gonna love it once you learn how to make it homemade or making ricotta. I'm gonna show you every tip and trick I know to what makes the most delicious ricotta, I think, and it's really easy and really simple. What you need to know is that ricotta is actually a byproduct of making other cheeses. So that if you're making pecorino, for example, they would take the whey from the pecorino and they would make ricotta with it, right? So it's sort of a byproduct of other cheeses, and it's a great way to utilize other whey, and this is kind of how they prefer to do it. And I love this recipe. It's easy, it's simple, it puts store-bought ricotta to shame, and once you make it fresh, you'll make it all the time because it's fantastic for things like appetizers, or if you're wanting to do like really, really good quality stuffed shells, manicotti, anything like that, this is the way to go. And I'll show you my tips and tricks to making it what I think is great. Some people like to add cream to their ricotta. I don't find it necessary because it's going to be creamy and delicious in the end, and you'll see why. But it's gonna start off with very simple. You need a half gallon of whole milk. I'm doing a half gallon today. Typically I would do a whole gallon, but for the most part, I actually prefer to do a half gallon because that means I have about a cup and a half of ricotta fresh in the fridge that needs to be used up within a few days. And then it doesn't go to waste, and I can make another batch really quickly and really easily. I'm gonna put this in a heavy duty pot. I'm just using my Dutch oven, and this is gonna come to temperature over medium heat. Don't put this on too high because it is going to scorch the bottom. I was looking for my thermometer. I know it was here a minute ago and now it's missing, but I will find it. I don't actually need a thermometer just because I can tell that as soon as the bubbles around the edges begin to form, which is like the boiling point, just right before it gets there, I know it's ready. You're looking for the temperature to be 190 degrees. Take your spatula of choice, your wooden spoon, whatever, and as your milk is heating up, you need to constantly scrape the bottom of your pan so that your milk doesn't settle and burn at the bottom, because if it does, you'll have brown spots running through your ricotta, and it's not pleasant. You have that brown skin running through it. So I'm just gonna go ahead and bring this to a temperature. In the meantime, get your acid ready. The acid of choice is always going to be distilled white vinegar because it's consistently at the same it's like acidic at the same way, in the same level. If I were to use lemons, some lemons are more acidic than others, so it may not work out perfectly in the end, but if you're using distilled white vinegar, it always works. So I'm gonna bring this to temperature. Once it's there, I'll show you the next step. We are to temperature. I can actually feel the bubbles underneath my wooden spoon. I tested it with my thermometer. We are at 190. Turn the heat off. All you need to add to this is a pinch of salt. I like to do about 1 teaspoon of salt and your vinegar. So add your vinegar in, and then as soon as you add it in, you just kind of do like a figure 8 motion back and forth just a couple times, and you can start to see almost immediately those curds separating from that whey. You see that? You do that a couple times. And now you're gonna let this sit here for 10 minutes. I'm just gonna put my timer on while I talk to you about what you need next. Now, depending on how fancy you wanna be, I have little baskets. So if I was making a full gallon, I would use one of my little baskets to drain my ricotta because then it just gives me that perfect form. But all you need is a sieve and some cheesecloth. And truth be told, if you have a sieve that's super fine, you don't even need a cheesecloth. And you know what else works if you don't want to use a cheesecloth? Coffee filters. It's just not going to give you the same texture if you're using it like fresh right away, but who cares? This is some cheesecloth. I just either wash it by hand or run it right through the washer without any soap or anything, but usually by hand is perfectly fine. Have this ready. Your sieve lined with your cheesecloth over a bowl, a pot, whatever. It's just important that the bottom of your sieve is not touching the liquid itself or the bottom of the pan, because that's going to defeat the purpose, because you want to make sure that you're draining that liquid out. So that's going to be in there for 10 minutes, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. Look at this. Look at that. Look at those beautiful curds. Now, like I said, some people like to add heavy cream to theirs to make it a little bit creamier, but we're gonna get that creamy consistency anyway, and I don't know anyone in my family that's ever added heavy cream, so I'm not trying to get unfamilied, okay? I've done enough things in the kitchen that makes people's eyes roll, but I'm just gonna keep this pure and simple. Now, when it comes to draining this, you've got options. The world's full of options. You can go anywhere from 10 minutes to a couple of hours, depending on how dry you like your ricotta. And here's what I gotta say about that. If you're gonna serve your ricotta fresh, like for example, if you're gonna put it on an antipasto platter and you're just gonna cut little chunks out of it or little nibbles out of it and just put it on a piece of bread, then you may just wanna go ahead and let it drain, you know, a good half hour or so. But I don't like it too dry, and you'll see what I'll do next is I'll make it like make sure that the texture is really there. I like to go no more than 15 minutes. So that's my preferred method, and once I get this really creamy, the consistency stays really, really well in the fridge. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this sit here for 15 minutes, and then I will show you the last step, which is technically optional, but I think necessary. It's been 15 minutes, and let's see how much we drained. Look at that. That's how much drained out, which is really good. The texture is, this is texture of fresh ricotta, by the way. It's sort of crumbly a bit. I'll show you. Oh, I'm gonna move things out of my way. This is the texture of fresh ricotta. If you go to Italy, you will get the fresh ricotta like this, okay? In like little baskets in the deli, and this is just what they look like, okay? That's the curd, and it is sublime. If I was gonna serve it, like I said, fresh, on a board, to eat as is, I would do it this way. But I wanna show you how I take the texture and make it a little creamier to resemble the store-bought ricotta that we all know and love. I'm just gonna put it in a food processor. I also like to save some of the whey. I like to save about a half a cup or so, because in a couple days it can dry out as it sits in the fridge, and if I want to loosen it up a little bit, I just add a little bit of the whey to it, give it a stir, and it's there. You don't have to mix it long. We're not making yogurt or anything like that. You want to just give it a little mix just to get that texture a little bit more where we want it. And if it just seems a little bit dry, come in here with a little bit of the whey, not much, because you're not making yogurt, okay? And just click, that's it. Boom. And this is ricotta. Look at this texture, okay? Calm down. Look at this. This is beautiful ricotta. Look at this. It's fresh, it's creamy. We did not have to add any heavy cream. It's perfect. The texture is just spot on now for the ricotta that you know and love in the grocery store. Look at this. Look at this. Look how beautiful. I just love it. See? Now it's more like ricotta. And if you wanted to serve this just like right now, drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, pinch of salt on fresh bread, it is heavenly. But I just want to show it to you because it's easy to make at home. Not really a labor of love. I think it's pretty easy. Doesn't require many ingredients or any fancy equipment, and it is so delicious. You will love it. So when you serve this, when you store this, store it covered in a container in your fridge, and store some of the whey separately. And then just to loosen it up a little bit, add a touch here and there when you need it. Stays really well for about 3 days, and then I will make a fresh batch if needed. It's perfect. Go to laurainthekitchen.com for the recipe and the instructions. Hope you enjoy spending time with me. Go make yourself a batch of fresh ricotta, and you'll be obsessed. I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.